While DC is known for various crisis events which reboot the universe or alter the universe, the same cannot be said for Marvel. Even 2015's Secret Wars, which saw the Ultimate Universe and the mainline 616 universe destroy each other, that wasn't a reboot. The Molecule Man and Franklin Richards just restored the universe with a status quo shift, Miles Morales being one of those status quo shifts now that he's brought over to the mainstream universe. If you swim in the proper fandom circles long enough, the question of whether Marvel should do a DC-style hard reboot will occasionally pop up. Here's my take on it. I'm not fond of the idea for many reasons. My experiences with Flashpoint did not endear me to the concept of rebooting the universe. When that story happened, what followed was a nightmare. Yes, I'll acknowledge that the New 52 did have early success, but the cracks in the foundations were pretty evident. For example, Green Lantern was able to keep his entire continuity. No, seriously. Wrath of the First Lantern was published under the New 52 branding. Multiple characters faced the First Lantern who went through their history. There are things in character histories that really shouldn't be. When you were reading this, it would be the first time you would have seen some of these events. For example, Hal Jordan as the Spectre and as Parallax. Why? As far as the New 52 is concerned, he never tried to reboot the universe during Zero, die to restart the sun, and rise again to become the Wrath of God. Why on earth did Batman go through half a dozen Robins in around 5 to 10 years? Then there's the issue between the single issues that they sold and the trade paperback collections, such as this one. In Teen Titans number 1, the individual issues said there were multiple incarnations of the Titans, only for those to be omitted in the trade paperbacks, implying that there were multiple continuity oversights within DC at the time. The New 52 is ultimately a product of shoddy planning and shoddy communication between the higher-ups and the writers. But let's say, Zero, we can do better. The original Crisis did the reboot quite smoothly. And to some extent, yes, it was smoother than the New 52, but there were still some major issues with it. They needed to have 0 Hour Crisis in Time to fix some of them, and 0 Hour Crisis in Time did cause more problems. Ahem, the Legion of Superheroes, which fans tend to say is a continuity hell. And then the effects of Crisis on Infinite Earths were undone, either in whole or in part. And then it was fully undone. Sort of. And then there's whatever the hell these two are. So what exactly is the big lesson here in case Marvel decided to do a massive reboot? Besides, if you want to reboot something, then you might want to consider committing to that reboot lest you end up with a continuity nightmare where some stories are canon while not being canon at the same time. Or that even competently done reboots still have cracks which people and characters can fall through, and their effects can be undone in whole or in part. Yes, but the biggest lesson here is, because of the nature of comic books being published by Marvel and DC, we're always going to run into this same issue of constantly needing a reboot. Some kid is going to grow up, write a few stories, and then get into a position of power where they become the inmate running the asylum when it comes to continuity. When a reboot inevitably comes around, because, let's face it, Marvel and DC's obsession with interconnectedness of everything will end up creating a web of continuity messes that will ultimately collapse in on itself like a black hole and necessitate heavy editorialization or heavy rebooting. No one at DC or Marvel ever fully commits to reboots, whether it's the hard reboots like DC does or the various status quo shifts Marvel does now and again. The toys will always go back in the box. If a reboot is necessary, then please actually commit to that reboot and plan it out. Don't stupidly spin your wheels doing what's canon, what's not roulette. Don't be so ready to snap back so quickly. Try letting the characters evolve, grow old, die, have kids, and move on. Have the world itself evolve, not just tell the exact same stories from pre-reboot except with a modern take. I think what made the Ultimate Universe so popular, besides modernizing the tales of the old universe, was that when it had consequences, those consequences stuck. However, that was a double-edged sword because when unpopular decisions were made, they were left with them, basically. Ultimatum essentially killed the Ultimate Universe. Oh, I'm aware that the Ultimate Universe was still publishing stories long after Ultimatum. The problem is that those stories were basically running on fumes of a dying corpse. The best thing about comics is that they're stories that never end. That's also the worst thing about comics. That maybe the era of sequels, reboots, and redos and remakes has basically jaded me to the concept of just rebooting the Marvel Universe. Maybe there is an appeal to have, like, every 25 years, the continuity web has gotten so deep that the best thing to do is just collapse it. I mean, everything they built will fall, and from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one. Right? That's it for this video. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.